Hey everyone, now you're ready for the big boy, big girl stuff, okay? So let's get started on graphing with transformations. Now, if you can do like descriptions first, that's be really helpful. So for example, this guy, you can, basically it's a sine graph. So you know somehow it's gonna start from the min to the mid. So mid, start at the mid and end at the mid. Or if it's a cosine graph, you know that it's gonna start at the max and then end at the max. But what do you notice here? You notice it's a negative. So let's actually first draw a general shape of what you should expect. I think expectations are really important. So first thing I think you should do is rewrite the equation. Okay? But also what you want to do is you want to write a general shape. Draw a general shape so you know what to expect. Okay? So, sorry about the crappy handwriting on the iPad, okay? Let's rewrite it. So is it where your B, your frequency, right? Your frequency, which is the little value that's in front of the X, I'm gonna write it explicitly outside, okay? Okay, and oh, I forgot the midline here. And I'm gonna draw the general shape. The general shape of this graph, because it's going negative amplitude, but I mean amplitude technically can't be negative, but you know it's going down first. So in this case, it starts at the mid, but you know that it's going to go down and then end at the mid, okay? So have that general shape in mind, okay? So you know your graph should look like that. Actually, I don't like the way I drew that. I'm going to go like this, down, and then I'm going to just show an arrow here, so you know that it continues on periodically, okay? So that's the first thing I want you guys to do. Now, let's do the second step. The second step is to identify, right, your peanut butter, okay? Peanut butter, but also, you know what we're going to do? Let's actually talk about this. What are the transformations that occurred? Think about it. Okay, think about it. Okay. Have you come up with that? It actually starts where there's a vertical shift, huh? There's a vertical shift of 1, right? Of positive 1 or 1, I don't care, okay? How about a phase shift? Phase shift is how much did it transform here, right? Not here so much, here, okay? When you took out the B, when you removed the B, when you actually pulled it out or factored it out, what do you have here? So it moved to the right. Oh, sorry, spelling check. I was gonna actually write RT, but moved right pi over 4. Or you can just say plus pi over 4, which indicates that it moved to the right pi over 4, okay? Let's see what else. Okay, I think that's good. Like the transformations are listed here, but like having that in mind will help you and guide you when you're graphing, okay? Now let's do the second step, peanut butter, and don't forget the midline, okay? All right, let's do that. So looks like their amplitude is absolute value of -2, which is 2. So that means the height, the maximum height, controlled by the vertical shift, of course. Okay, it's the height of your graph. Period is going to be 2 pi over b, but let's get b first. Our b is 1. So our period is now 2 pi over 1, which is 2 pi, which makes it kind of easy for us to work with. Okay, now the midline is the vertical shift, right? This guy here. So midline is y equals 1. It's a line, so we say y equals 1. Everyone okay with that? Okay, that's step 2. Let's now do, so then we've already listed our vertical shift and phase shift. And you know, you guys, you can include all this into the second step. All this into second step. All this into second step, okay? All right, now let's do our third step. Now, third step is the more calculating, and also third step is the most intense, okay? I don't really graph this way ever. I don't love it, but I think it's a good way to know, okay? What I'm going to do is, we know the general sinusoid or graph of sine, right? We know that our critical points, there's 5 points, right? We know it's 0, pi over 2, in generally speaking, right? 3 pi over 2, and also 2 pi. These are our 5 x points, right? On our unit, on our circle, if you think about it, okay? On our circle, right? We know this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. That's always good to work with. And we know that in a general sine graph, which is negative, right? Which is negative, we know it's gonna go, okay, so start with the mid, goes down 1, mid, up 1, and then mid, right? We know that. That's always our starting point. Okay, but we know there were some shifts, right? So what are the shifts? We know that for the x value, it went to the right pi over 4, right? So you know what I'm not going to write -4. I'm going to write x minus pi over 4 indicates moved right pi over 4. So if you start there, it'll kind of guide you. So now, this is the x value, right? So this is the x value. So make sure you know that we're using these values here. So what are we going to do? We're going to go 0, and we're going to add pi over 4. What are we going to do? We're going to do pi over 2 plus pi over 4. We're going to do pi plus pi over 4. 3 pi over 2, and we're going to shift everything. We're basically shifting everything to pi over 4. Okay, I understand that, our calculations LCD here is an issue. So if you want, you can change everything into pi's over 4s if you want to make it easier. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to erase that line there, and I'm going to make this easier for us. So let me go back and draw these lines that we need. Okay, so let's do, let's go back there. Okay, so I'm going to actually go back and draw this line for us. But you guys, why don't you make your lives easier by doing this? So you know how it's right pi over 4? Okay, so it's going to be pi over 4. This one's an easy one, right? How about this guy here? You do 2 pi over 4 plus pi over 4 to make your calculation easier. 4 pi over 4 plus pi over 4. Or you can do 6 pi over 4 plus pi over. But I think later you're going to recognize that there's this general pattern that's occurring when you're adding, okay? All right, so we have that. So we get pi over 4. We get 3 pi over 4. We get 5 pi over 4. Do you see the general pattern? It's adding by 2's, right? So now you know that it's going to be 9 pi over 4. Okay, so those are our x values, new x values, okay? Now let's do the y value, okay? Our y values are this. Our y is this. Remember, it used to be this right here. But what are we going to do? We have some vertical shifts. We have some vertical shifts going on here, right? It went up. So let's actually write the description. Y, okay? It went up 4, but remember, don't forget the amplitude. With amplitude. So here's how I do that. So I do this. You start with the y value that it's supposed to be. Here, 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 right? So you do 0 times what? Times the amplitude, which is 2, okay? Which is 2, and you add the vertical shift. So again, -1, you multiply the amplitude and you add 1. 0, multiply the amplitude, you add 1. 1, you multiply the amplitude, you add 1. And 0, you multiply the amplitude and you get 1, okay? Honestly, I don't love the way I graph this. I think you'll like the other way much better. Oh, what happened here? Okay, so let's finish it though. 1, that's -1. That's 1, that's 3, and that's 1. And here are our coordinates, here and here. Okay, so what do? We have our 5 critical points. Okay, so pi over 4, you go start at 1. 3 pi over 4, you have -1. You have 5 pi over 4, you have 1. And 7 pi over 4, you go up 3. And 9 pi over 4, which is your endpoint of one cycle, it's 1. Okay, so let's sketchy now, okay? So you have those points, you're going to graph it here. I'm going to move it up a little bit, okay? But you know what I like to do, you guys? What I like to do when I'm doing this is this. I like to pretend that my vertical shift or the midline, my midline here, I like to pretend that my graph is starting at y equals 1. So I indicate that. And you know how the amplitude is 2? I know it's -2, but amplitude is always positive, right? I just like to draw 2 and then 2. And I label that 2, 3, 0 and -1. And I know my starting point is pi over 4, and I know my end point is 9 pi over 4. So you know what I do? I go pi over 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's 9 pi over 4. And that's pi over 4. I start there, and it makes my life easier. And I already know that this is a negative sign graph, which means I'm going to start at the mid, I'm going to end at the mid, and I'm going to go down first because it's negative, go back to the mid, max. And I draw this curve already. But this curve is easy because you already have these coordinates. So you see how you could, as long as you know these coordinates here, right? And how to space them out, you can actually just get the amplitude easier. You don't have to calculate all this if you don't want to. But what's important that, and we're going to ask of you to do, is you're going to have to label each of these coordinates. These are called 5 critical points, and we have pi 4, 1. We also have, 3 pi over 4, and we have negative 1. What is this one? 5 pi over 4, and we have 1. This one is 7 pi over 4, and that's 3, right? That's the max, right? Sorry, my handwriting is so ugly, all right? And this guy is 9 pi over 4, and this goes, it starts at the mid, so it ends at the mid. Now, if the problem asked you to move further to the left and have 2 cycles, like this is 1 cycle of this graph, right? If they wanted you to choose 2 cycles, you can either draw it this way or you can draw it this way. Okay, so for example, if I was to go to the left, I would draw another cycle here, and I would go, this would be the max, it'd be the min, mid, and max. So it would probably go like this. Ding, 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 ding. Some of you guys are better artists than me, okay? So I'm gonna go, okay? So that's how it would look. Yeah, but we only require that you only write the 5 critical points, and everything else you just need to actually just sketch. But you always have to remember to indicate that it goes to the further, it keeps going, and then also that this keeps going too. Okay, so put little arrows. All right, now you're going to also watch another video that shows another technique, which I actually use. If you like this method, try this method, and if you like it, keep using it. But I'm going to use another method for you, okay? Well, I'll see you in class.